Hello, everybody. Time now for my college football picks for the week of November 17th. And before I get into my picks, as well as how I did last week against the almighty coin, first of all, as we do every show, gotta have my team of the week and my disgrace of the week. First, team of the week, and one of the easiest decisions I've ever had to make as far as judging who the team of the week was for how they played the week before. In this case, November 10th, Texas A&M. Easily. Johnny Football's the real thing. Kevin Sumlin, one of Bob Stoops' former assistant coaches at Oklahoma. He's the real thing as head coach. And I have to admit, I was one of those, probably one of many, who thought that when A&M entered the SEC that they were going to get clobbered, that they wouldn't stand a chance against the almighty boys. Well, not only did A&M prove that they belong in the SEC, but based upon last Saturday's performance, knocking off the #1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide in their backyard, defending national champions, A&M also proved that they are a force to be reckoned with in this league. So, Texas A&M, no question, you've earned my team of the week. Now for my disgrace of the week, which this week is going to go to a coach, Tommy Tuberville of Texas Tech. And if you saw SportsCenter last week, if YouTube and saw Tommy Tuberville and his actions in the Kansas game this past Saturday, a game, by the way, that Tech was very lucky to win, in my opinion. You know where I'm going with this. In the ball game, there was a situation where Tech did not have the right personnel on the field. I think they might have even been called for 12 men on the field, a penalty. At this point, Tuberville blew up, and he blew up at his graduate assistant coach, who happened to be standing right next to him. Didn't just yell at him, but actually knocked his headset and hat off of his head. Look, I have no problem at all if you get mad at your assistants, okay? I have no problem if you yell at them, all right? But you cross the line when you touch them, okay? And at that point, Tuberville allowed his emotions to get the best of him, and it's no wonder that the Big 12 recently put a reprimand on him as a result of him blowing up on the sideline, okay? Coaches are going to show emotion, but when you show emotion, do it with your words, okay? Do it with your mouth. You can't do it in a physical type way. This is not 1950s, 60s football. This is not Frank Kush of Arizona State, who was known for, for hitting players, okay? That era's gone, and even back then, it wasn't really approved. But now, with the internet, now, when you're under the microscope for something like what Tommy Tuberville just did, it just makes you look worse than you probably are. And I'm sure the Riverboat Gambler has learned from this, but Tuberville, you went too far this past week. You get my disgrace of the week. Now, it's time for my picks. Alright, before we get into my picks, gotta talk about how we did last week. And it's a rarity. I had a winning week, if you can believe that. I documented 6 wins, 3 losses, and a tie against the spread. The tie was the Oregon State-Stanford game, in which Stanford was favored by 4, and the difference was 4 points. So that's a push. That's the good news for me. I had a winning week, 6-3-1. The not-so-good news is that this guy right here, 6-3-1 as well. Can't win for losing. I can't catch the almighty coin. So for the year, as you already know, I'm not going to be able to catch the coin. I'm just going to see if I can have a winning November and early December as we get ready to wrap up the picks. We only have 3 weeks of picks to go, by the way, if you can believe that. So for the year, I remain 15 games behind the almighty coin I have a record of 47, 63, and 2 against the spread, while the coin is comfortably above 500 at 62, 48, and 2 as well. So, coin 15-game lead on me, but we'll see if I can show a little bit of pride as we get ready to pick. And we're picking 10 games this week, and I really, to tell you the truth, had a difficult time finding 10 ball games to pick. There's just not a lot of appealing matchups this week worth picking. As always, we begin in the Big 12. By the way, for my pick on OU West Virginia, make sure to check out my weekly matchup show. It's on this very webpage. We'll begin in Waco on Saturday. Kansas State, the new #1 team in the BCS, but as one coach once said, it's a lot harder for a team to handle success than it is adversity. K-State's undefeated, right now online to go to the national championship game, and they've handled every challenge every week, big or small. Well, this week it wouldn't appear to be much of a challenge to playing Baylor, but remember, the Bears do have a good offense. You're playing this game on the road. Bad news, if you're Baylor, though, your defense absolutely stinks, and you're playing against a purple machine in K-State that's handled everybody. I look for that trend to continue. Give me the Wildcats -13 on the road, as K-State will have next week off to get ready for the finale for the regular season against early in December. So give me K-State -13 on the road in Waco against Baylor. If the coin lacks heads, it's going to go with the favorite. Tails, it goes with the underdog. This week it's going to go with Baylor. Texas Tech at Oklahoma State. The Cowboys, their third-string QB Clint Shelf won impressively last week against West Virginia. Texas Tech not looking as good now as they did earlier in the year. They were fortunate to have gotten by Kansas in double overtime, but they did get the win. Texas Tech never wins in Stillwater, and Oklahoma State's playing better right now, so give me the Cowboys -10.5, and the coin it is going to go with Oklahoma State as well. You have Iowa State at Kansas. Iowa State knows that they're running out of chances to get that 6th victory, which they need to be bowl eligible. I don't think it's going to be easy this week, but I think in the fourth quarter they pull away from a Kansas team looking to win for the first time in conference play in 2 years. Give me Iowa State -6.5 in Lawrence, and the coin is going to go with Iowa State as well. By the way, TCU will play at Texas on Thanksgiving night. Now let's move on to the SEC. LSU at home against Ole Miss. This is CBS's SEC game of the week. This is the one that they're showing. That kind of tells you that there aren't very many appealing games this week if CBS is showing that for their SEC game of the week. LSU should roll in this one. Ole Miss lost at home to Vandy, and LSU's very hard to beat at home. Give me the Tigers -18.5, and the coin is going to go with Ole Miss. Now let's go ahead and hop to the Big Ten, where Michigan State at home against Northwestern. Michigan State, one of the big disappointments in college football this year. They're at 5-5. They need one more win just to get to a bowl game. And I think Northwestern makes this a competitive ball game. Michigan State has not scored very many points this year, averaging less than 20 a game. So a 7-point spread for the Spartans. I don't like those odds. Give me the Wildcats of Northwestern +7, and the coin is going to go with Michigan State. Notre Dame at home against Wake Forest. I know the last 2 weeks Notre Dame has had a hard time covering the spread. They haven't been able to do it. They did do it against Boston College or against Pitt the week before. But Wake Forest, offensively and defensively, they're not very good. I look for Notre Dame to try to win some human votes by trying to sway that human vote, and they're going to have to do it on the scoreboard by trying to cover point spread and trying to win with style points. I think Notre Dame will at least get the style points. Who knows how many votes that's going to translate come BCS time. Give me Notre Dame -24, and the coin is going to go with Notre Dame. And then Wisconsin hosting undefeated Ohio State. The Buckeyes can't go to a BCS Bowl or to the Big Ten Championship. They are ineligible this season. So for Ohio State, they know that this could be the final difficult stretch, even though Michigan's coming up later on. I think Wisconsin at home is going to give Ohio State all they want, a 2.5-point spread. But the bottom line is that Ohio State every single week has answered the challenge. And I think the Buckeyes, even though Camp Randall's not an easy place to play, I think the Buckeyes find a way to get the victory. So Ohio State, give me the Buckeyes plus the 2.5 and to remain unbeaten. And the coin is going to go with Ohio State as well. And let's go ahead and talk about the Clemson Tigers. 17-point favorites at home against North Carolina State. Clemson knows that if they can run the table, that they more than likely, even though they won't win the ACC, an 11-1 record should get them a BCS at-large bid, but that can't happen if they struggle this week against the Wolfpack. NC State's a good team. Clemson's much better. Give me the Tigers at home minus the 17, and the coin is going to go with Clemson too. And we're going to wrap it up with the Pac-12. Battle of Los Angeles, USC at UCLA. Normally this baby has belonged to the Trojans, but USC this week is going to go against the UCLA running back, one of the best that school's ever had, Jonathan Franklin. Remember, USC, in both of their losses this year against Oregon and against Stanford, had a hard time stopping the ground attack. This is not a good matchup at all. I think UCLA, I don't know if they'll win, but I think they keep it within that 3.5-point spread. I wouldn't be surprised to see a UCLA win, but regardless, give me the Bruins plus the 3.5, and the coin is going to go with UCLA as well. Finally, Oregon at home against Stanford. Oregon number 2 in the BCS, but they know that they can't have any slip-ups. Otherwise, Notre Dame will take their spot in the national championship game. Stanford, high-quality team. Last week we saw them win against a good Oregon State squad. I think Stanford has enough athletes to keep it within that 20.5-point spread. No way will I pick Stanford to win, but 20.5 points, that's a lot. So give me Stanford to at least cover. Stanford plus the 20.5, and the coin is going to go with Oregon. Those are my picks for the week. What were yours? Some reminders. My Oklahoma-West Virginia postgame show will come your way sometime late Saturday evening. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff, so I'm imagining around 10 or 11 o'clock I'll have postgame of the Sooners and the Mountaineers. And because next week is Thanksgiving, some changes. I'll have my OU-OSU weekly matchup show coming up actually on a Monday, and my college football pick show is actually going to be on a Tuesday, okay? It's going to be on a Tuesday, which means it'll be on November the 20th. So my pick show is going to be a little bit earlier than normal. That's because there's just too many Thanksgiving obligations that I have next week, so a lot of things are going to get moved up early, so remember that. That does it for my pick show, and we'll see you next time.